UFC 309 just happened last night. I went 4 for 9 for my picks. That's fucked up. I'm hungover right now. That's a bit fucked up. And I lost 6 out of 7 of my bets. So I'm honestly not doing that great, y'all. Especially financially. Fuck me, dude. But today we're going to be doing a recap of UFC 309. We're going to be touching on the prelims and the main card. And also some new fight announcements for January, February, and a little bit for Tampa as well. We had a bit of a mix of a change-up, obviously, with Rachmaninoff and Gary and all that shit. We're going to be talking about it. Timestamps for everything are going to be in the description below if you just want to check that out. But yeah, went to DraftKings Sportsbar in Chicago last night. Trust me, I mean, it was a good fucking time, dude. But man, when you're sitting there on that big ass screen, that plasma screen, you're just watching your money slip away. It hurts. So let's go to where it all began, all right? I had Jhonata Diniz winning against Martin Tybura. I thought he was going to get a round 1 or 2 knockout, and my friends, that is not what happened at all. Tybura, man, a lot of people were going with him in this fight, and I was kind of surprised, but honestly, as the fight was getting closer, I kind of thought it became more and more valid. And Tybura, he showed that there's levels, all right? Heavyweight, dude, the division's kind of fucked. Alright, because we're just going to be seeing these same faces. We're going to be getting Tybura versus Spivak 5, the first ever pentagilogy, whatever. That sounds retarded. A bit retarded, my apologies. But dude, seriously, like, we're headlining the fucking Apex in 2026. Like, they're just going to run out of shit. And Diniz, you know, I understand that there were clearly holes in his game. Former Glory kickboxer, and he did well there. And he was 8-0. So, like, don't get me wrong. I thought he was going to be an up-and-coming talent, someone fresh for the division. Probably the fittest blob you'll see, honestly, out of all of them. So, I don't know, dude. Heavyweight, though, this whole division, when you go from the 20 guys to the 15 to the 10 to the 5, I feel like there's such gaps, you know what I mean? And honestly, you could just tell by the build of them or the size of them. I mean, I don't know. Diniz, he had potential, though. I know that the odds were kind of close. I thought he was going to take this one. But Tybura, man, he showed the experience. He did very well on the ground. Pretty relatively not competitive. I mean, from what I saw, I was kind of tuning in and out to this one. This is when we first fucking showed up to the bar. But it's just like, good performance from Tybura. I mean, all things considered, I know he's kind of a bit of just the Polish or just a bit of the Polish NPC right now in the heavyweight division. But you know what? I am happy for the guy because, you know, got another win coming off a rough loss, and I know he stepped up last minute for this one, and the card needed all the help it can get. And hey, it was a finish. Diniz showed heart, man. Tybura showed heart. It was a good little performance for him. Moving on. So David Onama defeating Roberto Romero. Romero stepping up on a few days' notice, man. I mean, Onama was, I believe, the biggest favorite on the card, even with fucking Oliveira, John Jones, Ruffy, Nickal. We'll get to these fuckers, but dude, Onama was like a minus 1400 around that area, and dude, Romero brought it. It was a competitive first round. I believe one of these two, they both got the knockdown in each other. All right, it was a good fight. It was a good scrap. And again, like the second and third rounds, even like Romero made it competitive. He put forward the volume and the pressure, but Onama, man, he showed that he was a level above. I mean, I know he had a full training camp as well, but I mean, Onama's good, man. Now a record of 13-2. He's just going to keep moving on up, man. You know, this guy's going to get somebody ranked eventually. And I understand that it's maybe not the highest caliber of opponent. I mean, the dude, respect to Romero, man, 8-3 for stepping up, but I understand not the highest caliber. Maybe was expecting, especially with those betting odds, to be a bit better or more dominant of a performance, but it was still a fun fight. So, you know, it is what it is. Moving on to Jim Miller versus Damon Jackson. Round 1 sub for Jim Miller, and he didn't get a performance bonus. No respect. No fucking respect, man. On a card that was, you know, kind of a dud for the most part. I would, you know, a solid 5 out of 10. Oh, fuck me, dude. I didn't even tell you guys. I wanted to read the little poll here. Fuck me. So I did here we go. I did a poll on my channel. I want to know what you guys thought. We got 150 vote out of it. So 5% of you guys thought it was a great card. 25%. Better than I thought. 62% thought it was solid, but slightly underwhelming, and 8% thought it was a piece of shit card. I'm with the 62%. I think it was solid, but it was, you know, slightly underwhelming, man. I mean, I don't know how much I'm going to say to defend it, but Jim Miller, man, he's still in it. I had Damon Jackson winning this fight. Thankfully, didn't put money on it. That would have hurt me even more. Jesus fucking Christ. But Miller, man, it's good to see that he's still in it. I'm not sure how many he has left. I know Damon Jackson retired after this fight. I thought Jackson was going to be able to do well on the ground. That didn't work out so well for as short as the fight even lasted, man. I know that Miller is still in it. I know it's like not top 15 in it, but like Miller is solid on the ground and he's solid on the feet. I thought he had the striking advantage going into this one, but I thought Jackson, I mean, I also would have given the slight edge to Miller in the grappling, but like Jackson could hold his own down there as well, man. I just didn't like the accumulated damage that he took against fucking Bobby Green, man. Jim Miller. So I don't know, but I shouldn't have doubted the motherfucker, bro. I feel like I just can never pick against Jim Miller. I feel like whenever I do, I always get this shit wrong. And whenever I do pick him, he loses. So it's just, I need to just stop picking it in general, dude. But it was a good performance from Miller. Moving on to Jonathon Martinez versus Marcus McGhee. This was rough. This was a bit of a rough one, man. At least for Martinez. So I had Martinez with, oh my God, fuck, dude. I lost so goddamn much, dude. I had Martinez winning this fight. He's one of the best leg kickers in the UFC, or at the very least in the bantamweight division. Marcus McGhee, don't get me wrong, he's good. He's explosive. He can put forward great volume and pressure, and he's pretty well-rounded. I know he's primarily a boxer, but and he looked good on the feet in this fight. But I just thought Martinez was going to show more experience. I thought he was going to show a bit more levels. I thought he was going to, get a good experience out of that Jose Aldo fight. I think when you go against that top level competition, I mean, Martinez was on a good few fight win streak, I believe 5 or 6. And when you go against Aldo, you're either going to make it or break it. I thought he was going to kind of learn from this, and I thought he was going to make it. But McGhee, he's really fucking good. Don't get me wrong, because outside the top 15 of the bantamweight division, dude, it's killers. That's the thing. You're seeing in a lot of these divisions mostly, I mean, even flyweight, welterweight, middleweight, and bantamweight, the prospects are starting to take over, man. You're kind of seeing it in other divisions, but I feel like it's less than the ones I just mentioned. And bantamweight just has so many killers outside the rankings, and it's shark infested fucking waters, dude. So let's break down this actual fight. So Martinez, man, just no output or activity. I mean, McGhee absolutely pieced him up. He took the first 2 rounds. It was pretty evident. Martinez, man, he just didn't have a lot of output. He just kind of was taking a lot of these shots. I mean, I don't have the strike differentials pulled up in front of my... Can I have this pulled up in front of my screen? Okay, I do. So the total significant strikes were fucking 102 from McGhee to 48 overall from Martinez. And it's I don't even know round by round. I got this fucking Google shit in front of me. You know how when you just look up the fights, they give you the basic ass Google version, dude? That's what I'm on right now. My apologies. I don't mean to disrespect y'all being jank as hell, but it's just there was a big strike differential for this one, man. And McGhee, like I said, crisp boxer. He's good on the feet. We didn't see really anything on the ground in this fight, but I think most of us assumed it wasn't going to go down there anyways. But then that 3rd round, man, all right? Martinez started piecing him up with those leg kicks. He started really doing damage. He was kind of rocking McGee's legs, and he was looking good, and then he just fucking dogged it, dude. I was getting hyped up. I'm like, there we go. That's why I put some money on Martinez, man. This is what I wanted to see. A bit more activity, a bit more grit. Bite down in the mouthpiece of it, you know what I mean? But, dude... And then he just held him in the clinch. Killing him on the feet for those, or with the legs, or just overall. I mean, he was looking good with the striking. I mean, yeah, just flopped. Went right into the clinch. And not even that. Look, if you want to go into the fucking clinch exchanges, that's one thing compared to if you just don't do anything with it. There was no advancing. There was no strikes. There wasn't really even attempting much. He was just kind of holding him there. It was just pretty low fight IQ on display. I don't know if the motherfucker thought the fight was more competitive than it was, but if I thought I was down 2 rounds, all right, I don't know what his coaches were telling him. I mean, we've been hearing some insane coaching. We just saw with Alexander Rakic a couple weeks ago, dude. His coach, I mean, he was down, I mean, the first round was close. He was arguably down 2 rounds, and it's just or at the very least, it was 1-1. I'm sorry, what the fuck am I talking about? Sorry. My chromosomes, dude, they're out of order today, all right? But, and then Rakic went into that with low fight IQ. His coaches were like, nah, dude, just coast. You already have this fight won, and then he fucking lost. I don't know if we're living in these goofy, goober-ass timelines, dude, with these coaches and shit, and Jonathon Martinez thought, I don't know, but either way, he really dropped the ball. I mean, I don't know. It was a bit of a blow-up, but I don't want to take anything. I just feel like I'm shitting on Martinez right now more than praising McGhee. McGhee looked great. Really promising. He's going to be in the top 15 now. We're just going to be moving on, but a bit disappointing for Martinez. Wanted to see a little bit more activity, but McGhee looked great. A really good prospect right now. 34 years of age, man, so kind of a bit on the older side for someone that's 10-1. But he's looking dangerous, and there's a lot of time. 2025 is going to be crazy for these unranked bantamweights rising up right now. So moving on to the main card opener. Mauricio Ruffy versus James Llontop. I had Mauricio Ruffy winning this one. Most of us did, and dude, he ended up taking it. This is the one I was promising my buddies, right? We're sitting at the bar, and I was promising. I'm like, guys, if there's one fight I'm really confident, it's going to be done in 1, done in 2, whatever the fuck. I think it's going to be this one. It was not. It was not. Don't get me wrong. Luffy looked good. Or, sorry, Ruffy. I'm talking Monkey D. Luffy, head ass. Ruffy did look good on the feet. But I will say, man, it wasn't the performance I was expecting. You know, not as explosive or really catching him with the right shots, at least in that first round. You know, he seemed a bit more patient, kind of picking and choosing the right shots. He did look clean, but he was playing the more tactical approach. But he still looked good. Clearly won the first round, and then in the second, pieced him up. Got a couple knockdowns. I mean, he was looking great. He was looking precise. He was catching them with power shots. Llontop really had nothing for him. I mean, he was arguably almost... I mean, Ruffy almost won the fight. He was a couple seconds away from it. You arguably could have fucking stopped that thing, but clearly not, because Llontop came back in that third round, man, and that's where he won. And this is where... when I was referring to, like, this isn't the performance I was expecting from Ruffy, this is kind of what I'm referring to, is basically the third round, okay? There's nothing wrong with just, you don't have to go out there and get a round one finish to have a good fucking win. I'm not saying that, all right? Like, you can go out there and piece somebody the fuck up and either put on a great fight or just a great showing or, like, a show of dominance, whatever the fuck. But I'm just saying that James Llontop was 0-2 in the UFC, and it was a late-minute step up. I was expecting a bit, like, you know, and Ruffy, part of the fighting nerds, you know, people are calling him the fucking, like, the next, I don't want to say the next Conor McGregor, but I feel like that's what people are kind of saying. It's just like, I don't know. He's definitely still legit as fuck, you know what I'm saying? But Llontop won that third round. You know, he was kind of beating him up that third round. And Ruffy, that concerns me when you start to get to that top 10, that top 15 level, okay? Because these guys can kind of go at it for a fucking while. And all right, imagine Ruffy, they do a Carlos Pratt situation. They throw him in like a 5-rounder against a lightweight version of Neil Magny. Like, how's he going to do? I mean, Carlos Pratt's looking at me, knocked out Magny in the first round. He didn't have to make it that far, but I'm just saying, like, if Ruffy has to go start getting in these 5-round fights, how's he going to do? Because was it just a cardio issue, or did Llontop realize, like, hey, I'm going to be cut if I don't go out there and fucking win this fight? Because that's honestly what it could have been, dude. Because, I mean, 0-2 in the UFC, and he knew he had to bring it, and he did that third round. And all due respect to him, but it wasn't quite enough. Clear 29-28 for this one. Ruffy, future's still bright, but it definitely, there's cardio concerns right now. There's concerns just overall against like the top 10 and top 15, but still a lot of potential. I think he's like 28 years old. Can I double fucking check here real quick? No, I can't. I don't know how old. Fucking Google don't got shit for me, dude. Moving on, I'm going to skip the women's fight. I'm sorry, but I will say that Viviana Araújo, I believe that's her name, she helped me with my parlay. The parlay that was literally one of the only, like, fucking bets I won out of, like, the 6 or 7 I placed. So that was pretty unfortunate. So shout out her. I was somehow invested in that. I'm like, dude, I want this. I really need this right now, dude, all right? But moving on. So we're going on to Bo Nickal versus Paul Craig. So I believe, like I'm saying, I was at the bar. I couldn't really hear what the fuck was going on specifically. But I believe that the crowd was chanting overrated at this motherfucker. Literally like post-fight speech, all right? We didn't get Tommy chants, I don't think, but we did get overrated, and you know what? Fuck it, okay? Because I feel like I was hyping up Bo Nickal. I wasn't one of those guys that's saying he's going to beat Hamza, saying that he's going to be in the top 5. I wasn't saying that, but what I was saying is, like, you know what? Right now he's being a can crusher, but I get wanting to be patient, build up your experience, you know, develop your striking, develop your jiu-jitsu, just develop kind of your just becoming more of a well-rounded fighter instead of the guy that was just, you know, an NCAA fucking elite wrestler. I mean, I believe he also got second at the Olympic trials. What was that? Was that 21? When the fuck was that Tokyo one? Yeah, that was 2021. Wait, no, fuck, was it? Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm getting the whole timeline mixed up, dude. I get all that, man. You know, you wanted to go in the UFC right away, you know, and I get it because a lot of people in the amateur scene, they didn't want to fight him, so he just went straight to the UFC. And he's talking a big fucking game, even though he's the NPC of the middleweight division, arguably just at the UFC. But Nickal, I believe, man, it's tough because they're pushing this guy so hard. The company is so behind him. My point with all this, I was trying to save him, but after that, oh my god, what was that name? UFC 300, bro. That Cody Brundage fight, yeah, he got the win. And I mean, I wasn't expecting him to just go out there and fucking just eat him up. I wasn't expecting him, you know, I didn't need someone as high of standards like a fucking 30-second knockout like we saw over like the Val Woodburn guy. That was another thing, last minute opponent or whatever. And after this performance as well, a very, I don't want to say super close fight because I thought Bo won all 3 rounds, but it was competitive. I know that Bo didn't throw any fucking takedowns for whatever reason that was. Maybe wanted to prove a fucking statement, but that's Ankalaev's job, buddy. You are not him, all right? And this just, with the Brundage performance, like I was saying, and this, I feel like his aura has just, it's depleted a bit. I would say a lot, okay? The hype that he had around last year, around like, was it UFC 290 he was on, like I just said with the Val Woodburn thing, there was a lot of question marks with this guy. He was really starting to just call out big names. You're like, oh, Bo Nickal, 5-0, like, where's he going to go from here? And I feel like he just shut us up tonight. Or last night, whatever the fuck, but not in a good way. Like, he shut us up because we're just not going to talk about this motherfucker. I know that's not true because Bo Nickal is Bo Nickal, and obviously, like, hardcores or even, like, the light casuals, like, people know who Bo Nickal is or whatever, but it's just like, I don't know, man. It was a really lackluster fight, really lackluster performance. Bo just, like, I understand. He was doing solid with the left hook. He was piecing him up a bit at times, but it's just like there was really, like, Craig wasn't rocked much throughout the whole fight. And again, he was throwing almost as much back as what Bo was. Bo just had, I feel like, the more powerful strikes, and Craig was just kind of just landing around the same amount. I think we just expected a bit more of Bo, man. And again, I think this was a fight. You're going with two guys who are primarily grapplers. I feel like some of us, I mean, we were kind of excited to see what was going to go on the ground. Like, we just didn't get there. Why? I don't fucking know. Did Bo want to prove a statement, like I said, like what Ankalaev did against Rakic? Like, I don't know, but... And it really hurts his stock moving forward, man. I mean, you have to question, like, how's he going to do against these top 15 guys? How's he going to against... I mean, even like a Shara Magomedov or these other guys that are kind of like lurking around the rankings, like, what are you going to do? So I'm pulling up the rankings right now because, you know... I want to see what Bo is going to be able to do because he's going to fight at top 15 next year, okay? He's probably going to fight another unranked guy after this, probably around like that Paul Craig level. And then when he wins that, which he probably will, they're going to give him a top 15. So let's fucking see here. Michel Pereira right now is at number 15. I could see Bo winning that one if he can survive the first round. Michel's going to come out of like a bat out of hell. But, you know, he proved against Anthony Hernandez. I mean, Anthony Hernandez is just... a fucking beast on the ground. You know, I would say superior wrestling, at least MMA-wise. Or sorry, superior grappling, especially MMA-wise compared to Bo Nickal. I mean, Hernandez is a fucking beast. And I think, like I've said this in a few videos, someone like Anthony Hernandez, he's what Bo Nickal wants to be, man. But Anthony's a guy who's a big finisher. He can get the fuck after it. Like, he's good on the feet, and he's got power, but he's primarily a grappler, and he has good cardio, good fucking... He can get the grip, man. He can get the fuck after it, bite down to the mouthpiece, and, like, he can go 5 rounds. He can go 1. He can make it a war. He could pick you apart, and, like... He's a nice balance of, like, powerhouse, but also, like, primarily a grappler. And that's what Bo wants to be, but he's just not. So yeah, Anthony Hernandez, he can clear through Michel Pereira, but like if it's a 3-rounder especially or 5, it doesn't matter. I think Bo would be Pereira as well. Charlemagne, I mean, just because Michel Pereira, sorry, he can easily catch Bo. I don't really know how well Bo's chin is because we haven't seen him against the biggest fucking hitters. So it's really hard to tell because when he gets up there and he starts fighting like the real, I mean, if he ever makes it there, but like what if he fights a Jared Cannonier? What if he fights a fucking Anthony Hernandez, Shara Magomedov, Hamzat Chimaev, Strickland, Izzy? I mean, now we're just talking ridiculous. I mean, dude, if we get Paddy Pimblett versus Makhachev and fucking Bo Nickal versus like Duplessis or Hamza, something's wrong, dude. All right, I already know we're getting weird fucking timelines, all right? Bilal is champ. Kai Asakura is fighting for the fucking belt. To each their own. Like, John Jones is trying to fight Jamal Hill and Derek Lewis over Tom Aspinall. Like, my throat's starting to turn into fucking Joey Diaz right there, bro. Speaking of Stipe, man, the immigrant mentality and shit. I was yelling that last night, and I feel like nobody understood. I probably sounded retarded, dude. I was like, whenever Stipe was on, I'm like, the immigrant mentality, bro. Jesus Christ. But I just don't know how far Bo is going to go. All right, so Pereira's at 15. Shara Magomedov is at 14. I think Shara beats him. I mean, I know that Shara has not great grappling, all right? Defensively, he's slowly getting better, but I understand that. I mean, I know Shara is young too, and he's progressing in his own right, but I just think the future's more bright for him. His striking is so clean, and he's on a roll right now. I know that there's definitely flaws in his game, even on the feet. There's holes, man, but he's such a solid kickboxer. He has some of the best technique and precision, especially for middleweights right now. Comparatively, man, and it's just like he's an elite striker, and I think he would piece up Bo. Anthony Hernandez is at 13. I've said enough about him. He'd fuck him up. Jack Hermanson at 12. I would genuinely argue that Jack Hermanson could beat Bo Nickal, or would beat Bo Nickal. 11. Paulo Costa. Who the fuck knows with Costa, honestly? But I would lean towards Costa. Dolidze at 10, Allen at 9, Cannonier at 8, and you move on forward. Even Vittori at 7. I mean, I don't even need to mention that top 6. He's not touching those motherfuckers. And yes, I already did. My bad. But still, like, these names, man, I can't see Bo hanging in there. And I'm sure this is going to age like milk. He's going to go, and he's going to just fucking get all these wins. But at least with a guy like Paddy Pimblett or Sean O'Malley, like, I could see them beating a lot of guys in the division. Like, that's where it's different. Like, when they were on the rise, I know that context is everything. Bo is in a way different scenario than both these guys, but it's just like company guys behind them, and it's just kind of like people are kind of resisting it on and off. But it's just like with those guys, like Sean is such an elite striker. He's one of the best strikers in the UFC. And then you have Paddy Pimblett, who's like dangerous on the ground. He has ever improving striking on the feet. Like, I think Paddy's legit, and I think Sean's legit. I mean, when you get to Bo, though, I just don't think it's that. I mean, I know Sean doesn't have a good personality. And I know Pimblett. I mean, I don't hate Pimblett's personality. I'm honestly okay with him, but I know some people have a problem with it. Like, I just feel like Bo, there's like nothing there. At least Sean and Paddy, like, they got their own bucket thing. Bo is just a forest dweller, bro. There's not much to him. He's just a casual Joe Rogan Experience enjoyer. I fuck with Joe Rogan Experience. I'm not shitting on anyone who loves that podcast. I fuck with that podcast. But Bo is he's just that guy. He's the NPC of the UFC. And I don't know where the fuck he's going to go from here. I don't know if they want to give up somebody ranked. I'd say it's going to be a Pereira. They wouldn't want to do Shara versus Bo. They want to push both of these guys, but maybe a Hermanson versus Nickal next, or a fucking Pereira versus Nickal next. I don't know. Maybe you know what we should do, guys? Let's do Bo Nickal versus Mario Batista. Why are we not talking about this? Let's talk about the real hard-hitting matchups right now that are really going to get people invested. It's a win-win. So moving on, dude, because then Bo gets another win, dude. That's what the UFC wants, and Mario Batista gets the fuck out of here. So moving on, dude. The lightweight co-main. Pretty controversial 5th round, but otherwise, it was an entertaining fight. Definitely the best of the night. It deserved the bonus. Honestly, dude, if you asked me what the odds were in my mind of this fight going all 5 rounds, I would have said low. I wouldn't bet my house on it, but I would bet half my fucking house on it. I'm not trying to say it was just going to be exactly like the first fight. These guys are two of the most in-your-face, explosive, aggressive, just like high-caliber finishers in the UFC. And I just didn't expect this one to go all 5. When they have announced this fight to be a 5-round co-main, I'm like, hell yeah, we get more of it, but I didn't think we were going to get it, you know what I mean? But we did, man, and Oliveira looked fucking unstoppable in this fight. I'm not talking about beating the Saryukians and Makhachev unstoppable, but dude, he looked fucking good, and he just dominated. I was trying to say if that's the right word, but he dominated Chandler. I mean, for those first 4 rounds. We'll get to the 5th round. The 5th round is its own fucking entity entirely. We will get to that, but the first round, it was kind of a dud. It wasn't the most entertaining, but there was still action. Don't get me wrong. And the rest of the rounds, like, it was good. You know, Chandler, he wasn't just completely out of it. Because again, it was an entertaining fight for a reason. But dude, man, there were just some moments where Chandler had nothing on the ground for Oliveira, and you could tell it was around like that 3 or 2 minute on the clock, and you just knew, like, once Oliveira got into those certain positions, it was like, okay, we're just gonna be waiting here, and then the next round's gonna start. Chandler's gonna do it again, have maybe a moment or two on the feet, and then Oliveira is just gonna take over. And Oliveira had some vicious fucking elbows, some vicious fucking knees, whether it's ground and pound or on the feet. Like, he was whipping them. And dude, he was landing, and Chandler was getting fucking rocked. He was getting all cut up. He had a pretty rough fucking cut in between right here. I don't know why I just didn't say the fucking eyebrows. I'm retarded. But dude, listen, Chandler, man, I was expecting a bit better. I thought Chandler was going to win this fight. I knew it when I picked Stipe that was a fucking ballpark stretch. I just couldn't resist, bro. All right, those odds I just thought they were ridiculous, and I couldn't resist. And also, I really did think that the curse, like that yearly post-COVID curse, was going to happen. I was telling y'all about, and it didn't. I was fucking wrong. I really was like fully behind that, and I was convinced that was just going to become a new trend, but I guess we fucking got out of that one. You know, we need to get out now of the Apex, dude. Let's fucking get rid of all this COVID shit, dude. Something in the air, man. Put some Lysol over it. Get it the fuck out of here. But those Stipe odds, I had to. But Chandler, I legitimately thought was going to win. Like, it made sense in my mind, and I didn't feel like it was a crazy reach. Like, I thought Chandler looked good in the first fight. I know that, and I thought the layoff wasn't going to be bad for him. Obviously, rust is rust, but I didn't think it was going to be a Kobe Covington situation. Like, people can come back from rust. We've seen Cruz do it. We fucking saw Jones do it. This is literally twice now. And I'm not saying that Chandler's old man Stipe, but it's just like, was expecting a bit more, especially on the ground. And I think that he was trying to be patient Chandler. We saw patient Oliveira versus patient Chandler tonight. That's what that was, and that's why this shit went 5 rounds, and it was still a really fun fight. We saw these guys patient as hell and just showing such growth and experience in their careers, to be honest. But unfortunately for Chandler, it did not pay off, and for Oliveira, it did big time. It's a bit risky, man, getting into the pocket and just getting into these crazy exchanges with Michael Chandler. But, dude, Oliveira just beat him all around. Had the better of the striking exchanges on the feet and dominated him on the ground. And Chandler just, although he is just such a strong motherfucker, genuinely not only one of the strongest fighters in that division, but just pound for pound overall, he's a strong motherfucker, dude, you know? And I get that a lot of these guys view him as such a threat like that power-wise, but Oliveira had no fear, went in there head first, and he took those first 4 rounds pretty easily. Not easily, sorry, I don't want to say that. Pretty clearly. It was pretty evident, like, okay, after each round. But yeah, even though I thought the logic was there, even though I had Chandler, even though I had a bet, Oliveira, man. I'm an Oliveira fan. Chandler, he's kind of there for me. Like, I wouldn't say he's like a Bo Nickal NPC level, but he's kind of just there. He's kind of just... I respect Chandler a lot as a fighter, dude, because he's literally just always going to be entertaining. Genuinely just pound for pound, one of, if not the most entertaining fighter in the UFC, and I really got to respect that. And like Dana's glazing him and saying, like, I don't even want to say glazing, more like praising. I sound like Greg Flair right now, but more like praising. And he's just giving Chandler, like, he gave some other fucking sport analogy or some shit, but he's saying that Chandler's going to be around for pretty much till the time he retires in the UFC, and he's always welcome, and no matter win or lose, like, Dana wants to see him around because he puts on good fights. And I agree, man. I know that Chandler's personality and background and sometimes controversies and just sometimes annoyance can be kind of like, I don't know, a bit evident sometimes more than others, and you're like, Michael fucking Chandler. But at the end of the day, one of the most exciting fighters. And you know what? I never think he's going to beat any of these top 5 guys anymore. I mean, even at the time, it's a bit questionable, but he always held in there, and he honestly made all those fights competitive. Hold the fuck on. What am I doing right now, dude? You want to know what I'm doing? I'm giving you guys information you already fucking know. Let's talk about this 5th round, okay? This 5th round was pretty controversial because Chandler was landing a lot of shots that most people thought were to the back of the head. It seemed like a couple people were arguing that it was just to the ear, and he was going around it for the most part and avoiding the back of the head, but I guess that's what Keith Peterson thought, dude. All nonsense Keith fucking Peterson, dude, because that was a bit hard to watch. Because Chandler, man, he had vicious fucking ground and pound. Vicious ground and pound, vicious elbows. And Oliveira, man, was just underneath him. And Chandler caught him on the feet, got him down, and that's where all this shit went down. And, you know, I know Oliveira was kind of pissed afterwards. You know, obviously, how pissed can you be after a win? But he was like, yeah, man, that shit was... He fucking got me, man. Like, and that shit is kind of dangerous, man. Well, it is. It's not kind of. It fucking is, man. Like, you could add life scarring shit, and especially for a guy like Charles, who's 35-10. He's been in so many wars. So is Chandler, man. But Oliveira has so much wear and tear, and it's just like, don't be doing that shit. 5th round, fight, he's fucking winning. I'm not saying Chandler did it intentionally, but also there was like a 30-second fence grab in this fight. There were, I believe, multiple fence grabs, but I might be making that up. But I know at least there was a big one, and I'm just like, it was pretty evident. I don't know what the fuck all nonsense Keith fucking Peterson was on, dude, but like, he did that shit at the end of the fight, got the nice pictures, photos of the year type shit, and this was a fun fight, but man, didn't expect it to go the distance. Man, I thought Chandler was going to make it more competitive or be more in it. Patient Oliveira, man. Patient Oliveira is dangerous as fuck. He took his time. He made perfect precision on the feet, landed power shots, landed vicious elbows and knees, dominated him on the ground, and Chandler had nothing for him. And Chandler, I don't know what you're going to do with them. Chandler maybe. I mean, all right, let's go back to the rankings, okay? You can give Chandler... I don't really want to see the Dan Hooker rematch, but I know Hooker's kind of on a roll. I want to see Hooker fight like Holloway or Gaethje. You could do Holloway versus Chandler, but again, I'd rather see a Holloway versus Hooker, or maybe even a Holloway versus Oliveira. But now Oliveira is probably going to be after Saryukian for the lightweight title. With this whole Bilal champ situation and all that, Makhachev's going to want to be more active this year. Makhachev's probably going to want to fight around, like January against Saryukian, and then probably around the summer against Oliveira. Oliveira would definitely be down to weight. I mean, November to like June, July is not that drastic, and Oliveira, is a relatively active fighter, but it's like, you know what I'm saying, man. But I don't know, man. So Islam is going to do that, and then you have fucking, I don't know, Rafael Fiziev. I mean, Moicano's going to fight Pimblett. Jalen Turner might fight like a Joel Alvarez. RDA is fucking washed. I'm not even going to say that. They're not going to do Chandler versus Gamrot. Chandler versus Beneil Dariush is very random. Conor McGregor isn't going to fight. Dana says until late 2025. I thought it was late 2022, Dana. I thought it was late 2023. I thought it was late 2024. And now it's late 2025. We are never going to see Conor McGregor fight again. And I hope that's fucking evident, y'all. It's a shame, but the most painful part is realizing that, like, along with Chandler, we have been wasting time investing in it and believing in the tweets and really thinking that this was going to happen. All due respect to McGregor, I think he's a top 30, arguably 25, arguably fucking 20 fighter of all time. But listen, man, it's just this whole blue balling thing, this whole teasing, all this shit, I can't do it. I get it. If I was a fucking 100 million heir, why did I fucking word it like that? If I was rich as fuck, dude, and waking up in those shiny, glittery, silky sheets, probably not that. He's not that fruity, but it's like, I wouldn't want to do this shit either. I wouldn't want to go to those pains of the injuries and the broken pinky toe lad. Like, I get it, man, but I don't know. My whole point with this past minute and a half of fucking Conor is that he's not going to fight Chandler. So I don't know what the fuck you do with Chandler. So we're just going to move on from this fight, dude. Holy shit, I feel like I've been yapping about it. But dude, getting on to the main event, Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. I had old man Stipe, man. Like I said earlier, I thought it was going to be a fucking reach. And man, it was. Man, it was. So Stipe did probably about as good as I thought he was going to do, except I thought that he was just going to land better. Jones had really good head movement. Like, he was avoiding Stipe's shots, his big shots especially. But Stipe did land a solid a couple of times. Like, I know some people say this is the worst Stipe's ever looked, and, you know, arguably it is. But still, like, maybe not the worst, but it was pretty bad. Like, I know that Stipe wasn't always known for his speed, but I would say he did look just slow compared to just relatively how he used to be. Again, wasn't always a speed guy, and I know that Jones is pretty quick, and he's really translating that light heavyweight skill up to heavyweight, so, like, obviously the speed advantage is going to be there for him naturally anyways, and, like, he cut down 11 pounds lighter for this fight than he did. Like, he looked like a light heavyweight in there, but he's a big motherfucker, dude, John, and 235, Stipe, the second half of the first round just got absolutely fucked up, but he did recover. Like, he kind of got up, spit a little bit of blood, that immigrant mentality. Cleveland. Here, I'm going to do a little Stipe. Cleveland. That's my... I said, bro didn't go through enough already. This fucking guy, the heavyweight goat who I love and respect, man, he's not going through enough, and now you got my 300 subscriber ass shitting on him too, dude. And I bet on the motherfucker. I want him to win. I can't stand Jon Jones, dude. So it's just like, oh, dude, let's just talk about Jon Jones, okay? Real quick with Stipe, though, hold on. Recovered well after the first, but was just getting slower and slower. I thought he was going to progressively look better, but Jones was just picking him apart on the feet. The second round, I don't think really went to the ground much at all, but that showed that Jones, who was trying to get this fight on the ground a lot, and clearly had the ground advantage. I think that just showed he felt very comfortable on the feet, and it showed that he was able to defend Stipe's big shots, or really most of his shots at all, and he didn't have much for him. So, moving on to Jon Jones, and then obviously Stipe, man, I keep going back and forth. Stipe just couldn't make it through that last round, man. I didn't think Miocic was going to perform like fucking Gone, all right? I didn't put money on him just because I thought it was a 1 out of 10 chance. I thought it was a fucking, I don't know. I thought we were in that timeline, dude. But we're in the Jon Jones timeline. All right, this is Daniel Cormier level of reality we're facing right now, where the bad guys win, man. The villains are on fucking top sometimes, dude, all right? And not in like an Ilya Taporia way. Like, I hit pregnant ladies with my car and go hide in motels type of shit. Honestly, dude, if you're a Jon Jones fan, all credit to you. It's fine. Just because I don't fuck with Jon Jones, like, I know friends. I know people that don't fuck with Jon Jones. Live your life, man. All right, that's fine. But, dude, I can't stand the motherfucker. This whole Tom Aspinall shit was some of just the most frustrating shit I have been, like, feeling as a fan. I just couldn't. It was just so frustrating for me, the whole thing, because I'm a big Tom guy, and it's just he's been done fucking pretty dirty, man. And thankfully he says that he met with Dana after the post-fight presser. It was like 4 a.m. and he says there's good news coming and like there's big news coming and it went really well, which basically means that Jones going to vacate the belt. Aspinall's going to become champ, probably fight the winner of Gane Volkov and then maybe Pereira later in the year. Whatever the fuck it is. But maybe then Jones will come back in a year. Dana even said in the post-fight presser, he's like, I don't know what Jones is going to fucking do now. Jones is going to do Jones. Hey, yeah, what was the question? Yeah, this guy is badass. How are you not the pound for pound number one after someone like that? Oh my fucking god, dude. I knew we were going to have to listen to it anyways, but it didn't make it any better. I will say though, so instead of just shitting on Jones like I had the past couple minutes, I mean, he did look good. He looked quick. He had the edge on the feet. He had he looked insane on the ground. He was fucking him up bad. Amazing ground and pound. Was good. It's just doing well at advancing positions and just kind of making it look like Stipe didn't belong in there. And not just because of the old age. I mean, John looked great. John, dude, he beats every heavyweight in the world right now except Aspinall. I really believe that. Jones, skill for skill, this Aspinall thing, I feel like has just crushed him. Like, aura-wise, like, this is our go to the sport, man. You know, this is the guy that was, like, the baddest motherfucker. Remember how when he was talking about Daniel Cormier, and he's like, I could kill you. I could literally kill you, Limford. Like, that guy is not here right now. He wants to fight Jamal Hill and Derek Lewis instead. John Jones, man, I just would rather see him retire. Like, the fact that he is entertaining the idea of staying around means that, like, he thinks he can live in a world where he really can't just avoid Tom. He has no problem vacating the belt. As good as he looked tonight, you know what? He's the GOAT, I guess, and he's fucking 37, 38. And he doesn't want to fight Tom. Too much risk, which I feel like is the same. It's just you're kind of admitting that this guy has a really, really good chance of beating you. If not, you just know that he's going to beat you. And I think Tom is really dangerous. The opening betting odds came out, and Aspinall's a minus 135, I believe, and Jones is a plus 115. Yeah, man, it's going to be a close fight. I could see Jones even becoming the favorite. He's been a favorite in pretty much all of his fights and won. I mean, motherfucker's undefeated, goddamn. But Aspinall could break that. And it could be literally the biggest heavyweight title fight of all time. All this bullshit has gotten people even more invested in the Tom. Are we ever going to get it? I don't think so. I don't. It fucking hurts, man. It does. But I really don't think we're going to get it. And it's a shame. But at this point, I just want to see Aspinall become champ. I just want to see justice done right, man. All right, I want to see Aspinall fucking just finally get promoted champ. So when he was saying earlier about how finding out that, again, Dana has good news, Hunter has good news. So I don't know who he's going to fight after Gane or Volkov or any of that shit, but I hope this guy just gets justice. I think he's the best heavyweight in the world right now, man. If he loses after all this, to be honest, it's going to hurt. Because everyone is saying and everyone is believing, not everybody, all right, but I would say at least maybe like 60% of fans that Aspinall is the best heavyweight in the world right now and that he is leagues ahead. It's one of those more evident situations where the champion, you know, we have like a Pantoja and he's already been like lapping the division and beating most of the top 10. Even guys like Ursig and probably soon Asakura, but you know, MMA, who knows for that upset. But it's like Pantoja's beating everyone. It's one of those champions where it's like, who the fuck's going to beat him? I feel like that's Aspinall. You know, it's just a Makhachev as well, like a Topuria as well. Like these guys, like you don't know who's gonna beat them. Even like a John Jones if Tom Aspinall didn't exist. Like as good as guys like, you know, Volkov, Gane. Well, he already beat Gane, but like Volkov or Jelton Almeida, Curtis Blades, like shit like that. I mean, I think Jones beats everyone except Aspinall. I hope we get to see it one day. But a good performance from Jones. Had the advantages all around. Stipe was a great career. Happy he retired. This whole fight was a fucking joke and a tragedy. Seeing Tyson lose and Miocic lose night after night, man. Shit's fucked up and life's not fair. But UFC 309 overall, man, I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10. It was kind of a mid-card. I mean, the highlights, I will say the John Jones finish, dude. It was kind of badass. This kid is badass. How are you not pound for pound number one after that? Dana Whitehead ass, dude. I mean, it was a really sick highlight reel, though, and Jones is not the biggest finisher in the world, so we kind of needed it. The co-main was a pretty fun fight. Bo Nickal arguably got fucking fraud checked. WMMA fight. That was there. We just keep putting them on the main cards, and then Dana will go afterwards. Like, I don't want people to waste their money, man. When we build these cards, when we build these shows, we want to sell out, and we really want to give the people their money. And you know what? The UFC has great production for the most part. They put on solid fights, but some of the decision-making is pretty mental, and they got to pick and choose their spots a little better, man. Mauricio Ruffy, you know, he can keep moving up, but a bit of holes exposed. But otherwise, and some of the prelims were all right, but I don't know, man. A bit of a disappointing card, but it wasn't the worst. 5 out of 10, I feel like is pretty fair. Perfectly mid, as all things must be. It seems so. We're going to get into some of the new fights that were announced now, y'all. So, pretty decent amount of them. I've already been fucking yapping for a while, so I'm going to try and go through this relatively quick. So, Ikram Aliskerov versus Andre Muniz was confirmed for February 1st. It's going to be a Saudi Arabia fight night, not an Abu Dhabi fight night. Pretty sure Saudi Arabia. Ikram Aliskerov, he's coming back after the Whitaker loss. I understand that was a very kind of rushed thing. It was on like a week or 10 days notice or whatever. But here's the thing. He wasn't not physically prepared. Like, yeah, he got fucked up in that fight or whatever, but he was going to fight the week after. I understand it's a way, way, way different jump up in competition compared to what he was used to. Before he's fighting like Warley Alves and all that shit. And now it's just like going to Robert Whitaker, who is the top 3 or 4 middleweight of all time. It's pretty insane. And a Whitaker who is still in it, and he was on it that night. I mean, so I'm not trying to make up too many excuses for Aliskerov. A loss is a loss, and like he was in good shape. Kind of like a Dan Ige thing, you know, except Dan Ige was 3 hours. But like Ige had a fight coming up, stepped on it and performed well. But yeah, Aliskerov definitely still has a future. He's a great striker. But Andre Muniz, he's a bit of an odd one. He was on a 5-fight win streak. He was looking really promising, to be honest, and racking up some good wins. Good finish. And then he lost to Brendan Allen. Lost to Paul Craig as well right after that. And most recently, he beat the Iron Turtle, I believe, by split decision. Solid win. Some people thought it was controversial. But I mean, back in the win column, really just displayed a lot of grapple in that fight. Had a bit of holes in his game, of course, but I don't know, man. Andre Muniz has been a weird one. He had a lot of potential. I feel like right now he's kind of in the comeback phase, building up his foundation a bit. Kind of like where Grant Dawson's at, you know, kind of rolling on a high and then got a bit exposed, and now they're kind of building up. So, Aliskerov, though, man, definitely the superior striker going into this fight. I would definitely lean towards him overall to win the fight. I know that Muniz has about like... what do I got right here? Muniz has 5 losses via TKO or KO. I just think that Aliskerov is going to have the power advantage, not only on the feet, but just overall. I mean, I know this is a classic like striker versus grappler matchup, and I get that. We haven't seen Aliskerov go to the ground too much at all, but he does have experience down there, so we're gonna see it. We're gonna see it tested and displayed. But I think he's gonna catch him with that right shot. I think he's gonna take his lights out. He's gonna be hungry and looking for a win, especially Saudi territory. And I mean, both these guys are gonna be hungry as fuck, to be honest with you. So they're gonna want to get that momentum back. Ikram Aliskerov, Andre Muniz, February 1st. Also for February 1st. Not sure if this is a main event or wherever it may be, but Sergei Pavlovich versus Jorinzo Rozenstruik. This is for February 1st, man. I like this fight. To be honest. I think it makes sense for Sergei Pavlovich. I think it makes sense for Rozenstruik. Rozenstruik is 2-1 in his last 3. And the one was to Jelton Almeida. Lost via sub in like May of 2023. So it's just like Rozenstruik kind of has a bit of momentum going right now. Kind of gaining up the aura a bit. The Tai Tuivasa performance was pretty solid. Not the most exciting fight in the world, but Rozenstruik is definitely one of the most technical fighters in the heavyweight division, and he's been doing well, and I think he's going to do that to Sergei Pavlovich similar to what Alexander Volkov did. I think he's going to frustrate him in there. I think he's going to maintain the distance very well. He's going to control the octagon, control where the fight goes and the pace, and I think he's just going to piece him out from afar and really earn up the points, because with Pavlovich, yeah, he's on a bit of a fall-off right now. He had a pretty hard aura fall-off just this year entirely, but he's still powerful as fuck. He's still top 5 worthy, especially for the fucking heavyweight blob division, dude. Like, Pavlovich is pretty dangerous. He can crack anybody, man. He even had Tom shook, but he even had Volkov shook a little bit a couple times in their fight over this June. Also, I believe that was in Saudi, so Sergei might want to just fucking stay out of Saudi, to be honest, bro. But I don't know. I'm not saying that Pavlovich, I feel like he's probably going to be the favorite in this fight, but I would take those odds on Rozenstruik, man. I'm not the best on betting on underdogs. That has clearly been shown by Miocic and Chandler, but I really don't. Like, I'm good at picking favorites, I feel like, but and I know that's easier said than done. But I am confident in my abilities with that. But underdogs is a bit risky, but Rozenstruik, I feel like I just like it. I mean, especially if he's a guy that's really good at technicality. I think he's going to be able to do what Volkov did and just really frustrate him. And I could see Pavlovich being one of those guys that it's just one of those situations where you have a guy that is said to be next number 1 big contender, or the guy to beat said champ, or the guy that's the boogeyman of the division. And then they get their first loss, and then it's kind of downhill after that. We've seen that multiple examples. So I do like this fight, though. Could go either way. I'm going to go with Rozenstruik, though. Not sure if it's a main event or not, but for February 1st. Moving on. 2, Edson Barboza versus Steve Garcia. This is for a February 22nd fight night. Dude, I like this fight. Steve Garcia finally getting a crack at the top 15. He's on a 5-fight win streak, all via KO and TKO. This guy is explosive. He's relentless. He puts on a good pace. He's a relentless pressure fighter. With good with good fundamentals and powerful shots. And like, I like his odds in this fight. I'm not sure what the betting odds are gonna be, to be honest, because I think this is a competitive fight. As dangerous as Garcia is and as much momentum as he's fucking building up for himself right now, I mean, he just beat Kyle Nelson on the Burns and Brady card. That was like September 7th. I still think Barboza has a pretty good shot. Barboza, even though he's 38 and Steve Garcia's 32, you know, and this is the featherweight division. Sorry, I was tripping out right there. So with someone like that in the lighter weight classes, when Barboza's 38, that's pretty old down there. With light heavyweight, maybe even middleweight, like you can kind of pull that off and still beat those elite guys. But in those lighter weight classes, man, it's dangerous. And Barboza has been through some absolute wars. Yeah, he's still dangerous as fuck and can get after it. He's one of the most dangerous strikers, clean strikers in the UFC for sure after all this time. But he is 2-3 in his last 5. His most recent loss was to Lerone Murphy, who's obviously on a roll right now, top 10 worthy. But man, he's been getting fucked up. He got fucked up in that fight. Murphy looked great, but still, this is just overall, guys, it's an insane striker versus an insane striker matchup. I'm going to be going with Steve Garcia. Not sure where this is going to be located. I believe it might be the Apex, but either way, February 22nd fight night. First of all, the fact that it's in the Apex, if it is, it's a fucking disgrace. I'm really, really hoping it's not. Or at the very least, I hope they renovate a crowd into the Apex. I think we're getting that soon, but whatever the fuck. So moving on to Payton Talbott versus Raoni Barcelos. This is confirmed for UFC 311, and this is a good step up for Payton Talbott. But I still think he wins via KO or decision, in my opinion. I'm a big Talbott guy. All right, I love this guy's style. He's a super exciting striker. He's got a fucking bleach tattoo through his chest. He loves Deftones. I fuck with him in and outside the cage, man, and it's just like, I think he's going to be taking this one. I talked about this in another video I had, kind of predicting who I really think is going to take over 2025, and I put him on there. I think he's going to go 3-0 next year. I think he's going to beat Barcelos at UFC 311, January, set the bar. I think they'll put him in International Fight Week again against somebody who's unranked, but around like a Barcelos level, if not higher, kind of moving up, kind of maybe to where a position where like Marcus McGhee was. That level of competition before the Martinez fight, or even Jonathan Martinez. You know what? Let's fucking play matchmaker a little bit. We can give Martinez to Talbot after this one if he wins. And then I think at the end of the year, around like December, for his third fight, I think he's going to want to be active, and I think they're going to give him a top 15 guy. We also could see the Adrian Yanez fight. We could also see that as well. Like, there's a lot of matchups at bantamweight just in general. It's such a stacked weight class, like I'm saying. But Payton, man, we could see potential matchups from in the second half of 2025, and it's just like, what are we going to get around that GTA 6 period, man? We're going to fucking find out. Talbot, he's shown good takedown defense as well. He's a good defensive grappler just in general. I think he's going to want to keep it on the feet and really bring the pressure. He's racked up a bunch of finishes so far. If not all of his fights are going to be we're already done by finish. He's going to want to keep building up the momentum, man. I mean, the UFC realizes his star potential. He realizes it. It's a good striker versus striker matchup. Barcelos definitely can mix it up. And Barcelos is also solid on the ground. Like I said, this is a good step up in competition for Talbot. I'm saying that for a reason. Barcelos has experience, and he's pretty well-rounded, but it's just like, Talbot, man, good takedown defense, good defensive grappling, honestly, solid offensive grappling. He's so mean on the feet. He has great pace and pressure that he puts on. Such clean striking. That Cameron Simon fight, whatever the fuck, that was a great prospect versus prospect matchup, and like, both those guys were really dangerous, and they could be great contenders, but oh my God, Talbot made him look like he didn't even fucking belong in there, and then took him out in the second, and it's just crazy. So Payton Talbot is fucking back. I think it's a great fight, probably going to be like a feature prelim, maybe a main card opener, and I'm okay with it. Again, like, this is a good striker versus striker matchup, and Payton Talbot, man, a lot of people are behind him. This is what we thought Sean O'Malley was going to be. This is the Sean O'Malley we wanted, bro. So let's fucking go, and let's keep riding the hype. So moving on to Ian Gary versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. So this was just recently announced, and guys, I like this fight. To be honest. I don't think a lot of people are hating on it, which is good to see. I know when you get Ian Gary kind of involved in anything, you're kind of adding some question marks, like, because a lot of people can't stand the motherfucker. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Ian Gary, dude, I'm not scared of anyone. That's how this motherfucker is, bro. All right, he's what we wanted. in terms of like a contender that's gonna want to fight people. Okay, you have like these Leon Edwards and all this shit. I want to fight Gilbert Burns, yeah. I want to do a trilogy with Colby Covington, yeah. Dude, fuck that. Like, Ian Gary is one of the most unlikable people on the roster, and I mean that. Like, I can't stand the dude's personality, but I like, and honestly, he's become more of like a pitter-patter fighter. Some of his decisions lately have been really close. And again, I get a lot of people don't fuck with him. I myself don't, but man, I really respect him for getting after this. He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. He says he wants to fight Leon, Kamaru, Shavkat, Sean Brady, JDM, Kobe. Like, he was stepped down to fight MVP, stepped down to fight, Joaquin Buckley, beat Jeff Neal, like, beat Neil Magny. I mean, dude, it's just... Ian Gary wants to fucking fight everyone, and especially for a division like welterweight, you know, where there's so many guys who are like pretty solid, like well-known names or really good competition, and they're not the most active fighters, man, or they don't really try and like just really get after it a lot of the time. And especially when Leon was champ, that was a pretty poor representation. Like, say what you want about Belal, but at least Belal is active and wants to fight. He took Shavkat 4 fucking months after. Is that the quickest turnaround in the world? No. But, like, he wasn't scared of a guy like Shavkat. He was ready for the next number one contender. You know? And, like, he could have just, let's run it back with Edwards. Let's fucking do Usman. Like, I respect Belal for that, but just talking about this fight alone, okay? Shavkat claimed that a bunch of the top guys were ducking him besides Ian Gary himself, and respect to Gary for actually taking the fight. And man, I do as well, like I'm saying. Like, this is a great fight. Gary is like a plus 250 and Shavkat's like a minus 300. Dude, I'm not going to recommend this one because I think Shavkat's going to win. But man, if you guys want to take those odds on Ian Gary, I think he could take it. I really do. Ian Gary's undefeated for a reason. And like, part of why I love this fight so much, how many times do we get to see undefeated versus undefeated? People are complaining this isn't from interim belt. Yeah, it's not, but like, Belal's not going to be out for that long. Like, he's going to be back around like, there's Ramadan, so probably around like May. This fight's in December. Like, that's a good turnaround for either of those guys, especially if Gary wins. Gary's active as shit. Rakhmonov, if it's for a title opportunity, he'd fight. So we could see that in, like, May or June. That would be perfect. So post-Ramadan, and, like, even Dana said, this is what Dana said in the post-fight presser. He said, I don't want to make an interim belt for it because we know when Belal's going to come back, and it's not that long. So this is a clear-cut number one contender fight. People are complaining Gary didn't have a big top 5 win. Let's give him who people say is the scariest fighter in the fucking division, and then you have Shavkat, who people are saying he isn't, he's a killer, and he's a marauder, and he's the fucking the elite caveman, but he also he's coming off of like a Stephen Thompson win. All right, Ian Gary's more legit than Stephen Thompson right now, so it's just like, I mean, with all due respect to Stephen Thompson, blah, 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 he's a legend, one of the best strikers in the UFC, but you know what I'm saying? Like, Ian Gary's on a roll right now, and he's undefeated and young for a reason. Well, I said young for a reason, but you know what I'm saying, man. Both these guys are getting something out of this fight. This is determining who the next number one contender is. It's clear as day. And then in February, we're probably going to get JDM versus Usman. That's perfect. That might determine who's after that if JDM wins especially. So it's like things are finally getting fucking going for the welterweight title picture that isn't just Leon Mumblemouth Edwards, dude, trying to fight fucking Gilbert Burns and Jeff Neal for title defenses and all this shit. So it's just like, we'll see what's going to happen, man. I like this fight. I'm curious what's going to happen in the grappling exchanges because Shavkat's really fucking dangerous in the clinch. And also just I think he's going to have the ground advantage just overall. Also, man, via submission, like he could take you out on the feet. Like that fight against Jeff Neal, like he made Jeff Neal tap out, man, on the feet standing up. And he's also, Shavkat's shown good ground and pound. He's shown just good grappling in general. I understand that he's more primarily a striker. Like, yeah, Shavkat's well-rounded, but like, he's a mean motherfucking striker, and I feel like that's where this fight is going to be taking place for the most part. I know that some people, I know against the Stephen Thompson performance specifically, he was injured. That's why he was just kind of just immediately going for the takedowns and immediately going against the fence or getting him in the clinch right away. But I think we're going to see a healthy Shavkat with a full training camp who's ready to get the fuck after it and was prepared for a title fight. He's going to be mean on the feet, mean on the ground. Ian Gary, just the defensive and offensive, whichever one grappling, it does concern me because on the feet, I think Ian Gary's striking is pretty underrated. Yeah, he's pretty pitter-patter lately, and yeah, he's becoming a lot more like that technical route versus where he first started in the UFC, was just blowing through motherfuckers with finishes. But, he's been stepping up in competition. You can't really do that as much when you're getting against the more elite guys. So I'm not really blaming him. I think a lot of people they just don't like how controversial. I don't want to say controversial because like I thought he beat Jeff Neal. I thought he beat MVP. I thought it was fair, but some people, man, they just don't fuck with it. So, I don't know. I think his striking and overall just his skill set is just pretty shit on. I might do like an overrated, underrated fighters thing, and I'm going to have Gary on there as underrated. I like his chances in this fight. I'm going to be going with Shavkat, but it's a really intriguing matchup. And if Shavkat can go out there and impose his will and just control the fight to where he wants it to go, I like his chances a lot because Gary, I understand that like, oh, you're a wrestler now. He had to fucking turn into a wrestler against MVP. And man, if you're doing that and you're not even doing it well, it concerns me when you move up to Shavkat. So if this was just a striking versus striking battle, honestly, Gary, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't be sleeping on him. But dude, MMA is MMA. Shavkat's scary as fuck. People are saying he's the boogeyman. I think he's a bit overrated. But also, like I thought Bilal was going to beat Shavkat. But and I'm sorry. Like I had legitimate reasons. I know I said I'm not the best at picking underdogs, but I really did think Bilal was going to take it. And it was a great fight, but I'm very happy with this as well. I think it's what the card needed. Pretty weird that we got Pantoja and Asakura as the fucking main event, especially for such a stacked card, but it is what it is. Moving on to the last thing I got to talk to y'all about, man, Colby Covington. What the actual fuck? He's coming back against Joaquin Buckley. Guys, I didn't expect this on my fucking 2024 bingo card. I mean, seriously, the year's about to be over, and we got Colby Covington. Not only is he stepping on not last minute, like the fight's in a fucking week, but he's stepping in on short notice, okay, to fight a guy who is ranked below him, who's not the biggest name, all right? And no, this isn't on a pay-per-view. If you told me those three qualities about a Colby Covington fight, especially like this year after he's been just fucking ducking and bitching and all this shit, man, you know that Kobe's good, but he just fucking just sits there and he's just talking and being pick and choosy with the fights, and it's just like, God, dude, you're wasting your years away. It's like a Michael Chandler situation, but it's really just Kobe doing it to himself even worse. So I don't know. I really like this fight. I think Joaquin Buckley is going to win. He's like a minus 175 opening favorite. I feel like that's pretty fair. Kobe can win this as well, though, man. I'm going to be interested to see how his ring rust is because, I mean, that Leon Edwards performance was pretty just fucking embarrassing, dude. I mean, the Kobe that we knew, that was good for putting on the pace, pressure, and volume was nowhere to be found. Wasn't competitive until the last 5 minutes, and fuck. If you do that against Buckley, and Buckley is kind of notorious, especially as of late, for like really getting after it in that third round, because, this is going to be a 5-rounder, holy shit. But yeah, like Buckley kind of gets better and really gets the fuck after it more kind of as the fight progresses. I wouldn't call him like a slow starter or any means, but like, I think that Buckley's gonna be able to just kind of like impose his will kind of from start to finish. Like, I know that Leon Edwards like is a bit more like high caliber than Buckley, most likely, but it's just like Buckley is still really good. I think he's gonna win this fight. I think he's gonna get the better of Kobe on the feet. I think he's gonna be able to hold his own on the ground, if not do better than Kobe on the ground. And I think it's about which one of these guys is going to want control where the fight goes. Like if Kobe is able to go really get the cardio back, really be able to just go out there, bite on the mouthpiece and show some grit and just fucking show a bit of the Kobe of old, man. Seriously, like show that you're still in it. I think the fact that he's taking this on short notice on a fight night against a guy that's a lower ranked opponent, I think it finally fucking shows that like he knows he's got something to prove. If Kobe's doing this, he realizes that his stock is falling down. He realizes he needs someone to get the momentum going again. And honestly, this is a perfect opportunity. It's in Florida too, man. All right. I mean, Trump might fucking be there. So, I mean, I like this fight. I'd lean towards Joaquin Buckley, but it's an intriguing matchup against like Buckley, who's 5-0 welterweight. I mean, dude, if a win over Kobe is going to be in the top 6, shit, man. And Gary, well, I don't want to talk about the Gary fight anymore. I'm sorry, y'all, but these could be big things for Buckley, and it could be big things for Kobe. If Kobe wins, it shows that he's still fucking in it, especially if he gets a good win, goes out there and shows the Kobe of old, or not even. Maybe we get a new improved Kobe, man. Maybe we get a one who's like, no, that one you saw me last time in, that was a bitch-ass performance, man. I'm coming for all y'all's heads, like... There we go. Let's finally fucking cook with Kobe, man. I mean, this shit's ridiculous. The inactivity, the picky choosiness. I can't stand it because I used to fuck with Kobe a pretty solid amount, but just been pissing me off lately, man. So it's good to see him back in there. I respect it. Love to see it. It's a really intriguing fight. It's going to be interesting to see what happens on the feet and on the ground. So leaning with Buckley for that one. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so very much for tuning into the All the Smoke podcast. This is episode 3. I'm going to try and start getting these out kind of once in a while. I kind of like doing the traditional videos a bit more, but it's nice to, kind of get on here and fucking just yap once in a while. Guys, we're almost at 350 subs. I appreciate you guys so very much for that. And just thank you overall for tuning in. I mean, I hope you guys had a good time watching UFC 309. Let me know how the fucking weekend go for you guys. All right, I'm here hungover right now. Lost most of my bets. Lost most of my picks. Shit, I had a good time watching it, but fuck, man. Perfectly balanced, as fucking Thanos bitch ass says. So, listen, man, thank you guys so very much. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you thought of UFC 309. What do we got? We got Jan versus Figgy this weekend. That's a great card. It's actually pretty solid. The prelims, it is what it is, but it's a pretty solid main card. Oberg and Ozdemir is a great fight. The main event's a great fight. And there's a couple other good matchups kind of sprung throughout the card, so don't get me wrong, it's solid. I like it. It's at 5 a.m. I'm gonna feel like I'm in the fucking UK for that one, because it's 5 a.m. for my time zone, and I'm gonna be waking up. Shit, I got work at 9. I'm fucking waking up at 5, and I'm watching that fucking fight card. I don't give a shit, man. Hell yeah, Jan and Figgy. But anyways, man, I'm yapping. Thank you guys so very much. 350 subs almost. Appreciate y'all. All the support, all the smoke MMA. I appreciate you guys, and have a good one.